Hello and welcome to this weather video. Unfortunately, the rain is kind of a bust. We didn't really see as much rain or severe weather in our area. The severe weather was well to the north and west. This is what we got going on right now. There has been some showers and thunderstorms. The heavier stuff has been over New Jersey. It looks like there's another one right now approaching Brick and Howell townships there. But other than that, not really a whole lot going on. It was a murky day, humid. We still got dealing with the very high humidity out there. Farmingdale, 73 with a dew point of 72. But if we go ahead and we'll look at rainfall, you'll see that it really hasn't been all that much here. We'll go to the 24-hour here. And for Long Island, not really all that much. Very spotty. It looks like actually JFK did get 1.27 inches of rain. So I guess some areas got a decent amount of rain. Most of Long Island here, some parts of Nassau saw up to 3/4 of an inch. But as you head into Suffolk, boy, they got barely anything. 0.27 at Islip. That is all Islip got. 0.26 at West Hampton. And almost nothing Fire Island. 0.10. That's it. That's all. 0.17 at Mastic. This is just really what a bust it was. This was what a bust. We thought there was going to be a decent amount of rain, and even Central Park only 0.36. We go into New Jersey. This is where your heavier amounts are in Ocean County. Still not that much there. 0.81 in Toms River, 0.84 in Toms River. Not really all that much. Again, in our just very little. You have to go well to the north and west. That's where the heavier amounts go. I mean, well, where the severe weather was. You have to go way up here. Places like Pennsylvania, Western New York, way up here. This is where the severe weather was, and that's where they got a lot of rain, like 2 to 3 inches. But we really, what a bust it was. What a bust. All this humidity, and this is all the rain we could get. Unfreaking believable. I'll look at the radar here, and you see we have some shape. This is going to maybe give us a little more. But again, this has all just been light, occasionally moderate rain. Not really much. Again, just what a joke. What a joke. This is what we got going on in the atmosphere. Here you can see plenty of clouds around. We'll go to the larger CONUS view of the satellite. And you'll see that we are going to try to get this front offshore. Try to get the front to the south, but it's not really going to make it that far. See, there's drier air out west. But other than that, and then this is the area one that they're watching. It's going to be the next tropical storm. And then we have Humberto. This is Humberto. We'll go to Humberto right now. Definitely, wow, big explosions there of convection there. That's very impressive. So I have a feeling it's definitely in the process of strengthening. I think it's still a tropical storm, but I bet it'll be a hurricane by tomorrow. Let's go to Humberto right now. And our latest public advisory. Humberto continues to strengthen over the central Atlantic, expected to become a hurricane on Friday. So, yeah, expect to be a hurricane tomorrow. As of 5 p.m., its location 21.9 north, 57.0 west, about 470 miles northeast of the northern Leeward Islands. Maximum sustained winds are now 60 miles an hour, moving northwest at 6 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 29.53 inches, and a slow movement to the north. This is a very brief update here. I guess this is an intermediate update. That's probably why. The last one was at 5 p.m. Here we are at 9:57. Well, I guess we're seeing cutbacks in the amount of updates thanks to the MAGA holes and the big MAGA hole in the White House, of course, who I absolutely despise. He despises us too. Don't even get me started. Tropical storm force winds extend out up to 90 miles from the center. It's actually expected to become a major hurricane, possibly by the weekend. And then here's the scary thing. Look at what it's doing here. It's starting to try to aim toward the East Coast. We're going to talk about what this means. There's going to be a lot to talk about with the weather over the next couple of days with this and the other area over here. And going to be very unusual to see this for sure. So rainfall was a bust. Let's go and look at the models here. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the models here and go to the GFS here. I want to kind of go to the eastern U.S. view. Yes, that's better. We'll start with the GFS and the AT&T GFS, and then we'll look at the Euro. We'll look at all of them here. So you see we got a break tomorrow and a break on Saturday. Here's Humberto over here, by the way. And then we get back into some wet weather on Sunday, until at least part of Sunday here. A little wave of low pressure riding up along the stalled front. High pressure tries to build in, and this is what really is really weird. Okay, so it's this storm here that's going to make an impact into the Carolinas. Perhaps we have a high over us that's going to try to protect us, and then we have Humberto making its right, and then it kind of gets pushed back. And look at this high; it actually moves backwards as we head into October. So very weird, but this is what happens when you don't have a jet stream. This is what happens when you're in a climate crisis. The weather patterns are just completely out of whack, and that's what we're seeing here. But hey, don't tell the fat bastard that. He was in front of the UN mocking everybody. Get a break tomorrow from the rain. But the Euro's even trying to bring in some rain even later Saturday night. But the Euro's a little different here with the rain. It kind of moves it a little faster, but then moves it out by Sunday. High pressure builds in, and then again we get these two storms. So it's very unusual. We're gonna have a little bit of a Fujiwhara effect, which is I don't think I've ever seen that before. You can see this storm here coming into the Carolinas. The question is how far that rain is going to make it north. Doesn't really make it to us, and then Humberto kind of. That's as far as we got. This is the 18Z Euro here. I want the 12Z Euro. You can see what happens there. That high kind of goes over there. Then, yeah, we got to talk about Gabrielle, too. Gabrielle is now post-tropical. Let's see the latest advisory here. Strong winds expected to begin on the Azores within the next hour or two. Its location is 37.6 north, 30.5 west. Maybe this was that update. I don't know. That update was so brief on Humberto. I mean, I don't understand it. They have more about this one, it seems. So it's 120 miles southwest of Vial Island in the Central Azores. Maximum staying wind still 70 miles an hour, still hurricane strength. East-northeast, 30-mile-an-hour movement. Minimum central pressure 29.03 inches. We got the hurricane warning in effect for that area. And we'll go ahead and look at the cone for that as well. So your warning cone here. Look at that. It says, I think I picked a different one, but you can see the idea of where it's hitting. And yeah, it's going to hit Gibraltar, maybe? I think this is the one we wanted. It's going to hit Gibraltar? Really? Unbelievable. So, and Humberto, we'll look at the cone here. This is as far as it goes. I think we already looked at that already. So, yeah, and then we have this one, which is definitely going to become 90% in the next 7 days as well. So there's a lot going on in the tropics. We'll take a look at Gabrielle first of all. This is Gabrielle. It's definitely looking post-tropical now. You can see it definitely starting to evolve into a hybrid type of storm here. But it's still going to pack a punch. In fact, I should not have closed the weather and hazards map down because I should have looked at what the conditions were over there in the Azores, which is get the observations here. See if we can find them. Yeah, they're over here. Here we go. Yeah, we got a gust of 49 right now at Hoida Airport. Yeah, that's what we got going on over there, and I'm sure there's some pretty high seas too. So very unusual to see a hurricane take that. Very almost unheard of at this point. But when you don't have a jet stream, why is this all happening? Well, we'll go ahead and we'll no, we're not looking at that. This is all happening because of the jet stream. And look at the jet stream. Where the jet stream is look at this mess. It's mostly in Canada, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess right now. It really is. We'll talk more about that on Sunday, but absolutely crazy at this point. Absolutely crazy. So we're going to look also at the. This doesn't have that. Yeah, 700 to 300 relative humidity. This is another tool we can use as far as the tropics go. And you can sort of see the Fujiwhara effect here. So you can see what happens here. So also we can also use this to kind of show you what's going to happen here. So for tomorrow, you see we try to get into some dry air, the brown air, but then the green comes back up on us on Saturday. and then the dry tries to build in later Sunday, and then we get borderline here squeezed because that high is coming down because the jet stream's all screwed up. Look at the way the highs are approaching. They're coming down through eastern Canada instead of coming down through the Great Lakes, which is not normal. That is not supposed to happen. It is not supposed to happen. So, absolute lunacy here. We go to the GFS, which also has this feature. Look at the GFS, and you can see same deal, similar to the euro, kind of similar, just a little different with the timing. You can see that high does come down right on top of us, though, so we should have nice weather later next week, hopefully. Maybe some clear skies. Maybe. So, got to get the idea of what's going to be happening here. Actually, we'll go to current storms as well, so let's do that. Our remnants of Gabrielle, but let's go talk about Humberto. Definitely looking healthy there. Look at that. A lot of bursts of convection there. It's over warm water. It's not going to have much shear, so I think it's going to be pretty set to intensify. And these are the models here. Most have it recurved, but there are a few that don't. So it has to be watched. Remember, we don't have that strong west to east pattern to sweep these things out. And yeah, this is going to get up to at least a Category 3, if not a Category 4, because it's going over again that warm water which we looked at the other day. And then we can go ahead and we can actually look at. I want to take the invest here. I think it's 94L invest. Is that the one? That's the one. And this is the one. We'll just show you the tracks that some of the models take this and takes it into the Carolinas. So this one, Humberto kind of gets pushed. The high builds down, so one goes to the right, one goes to the left. It's kind of blocked from just going north at this point. This is the intensity. Doesn't have it getting that strong, 94L, but obviously with Humberto close by, you have to see how that all plays out. We've never seen Fujiwhara. I don't think I've ever seen that in the Caribbean before. I mean, we've seen that in the Pacific sometimes, but really, really, really unusual stuff. Very unusual. Very, very highly unusual stuff, I might add. So anyway, I've seen we're going to be dealing with here. It won't be a completely dry weekend, probably. Let's go ahead and look at the HRRR. And see, it's got a few more showers. But other than that, it's not really showing much for tomorrow. And then we're dry for most of Saturday. This is as far as we got. I think most of Saturday is dry. But later Saturday night, perhaps after 11 o'clock, we might see some of this rain move in. That is the next little wave along this stalled front that we're dealing with here. So the highs just go by to the north. You get stall front syndrome. You know the deal already. The dew points will drop, but not as much as we'd like to see. Obviously, dew points are atrocious right now. Dew points in the 70s. It's ridiculous in September, and we're dealing with this humidity. Tomorrow, the humidity does back off a little bit. We'll have dew points probably drop to around 60 degrees. Light west winds, maybe a little more of a sea breeze toward the afternoon. And then as we get into Saturday, I think that's when it'll turn a little bit cooler. We'll have more of that easterly flow. The dew points are in the comfortable range, but they won't be super low. The temperatures tomorrow will be quite warm, I think, with that west wind. I think we're going to see temperatures probably close to 80 degrees for a high. And then at night, probably drop back to around 16. And Saturday, probably wind up being a little bit cooler, especially as we see increasing clouds with that approaching wave. So we'll start out in the mid-70s, and then we'll probably drop a little bit after that. That's as far as this model goes. And if we're going to go a little further, we have to use the European, which is what we'll do. So we'll go ahead and look at the European. And then as we head into Sunday, you see this is the European. The winds kind of shift to the south. Humidity comes back. And then Sunday, we're kind of dealing with a little more humidity again, south flow. And then we're trying to push this down next week. See how much trouble we're having. A lot of trouble pushing it down. We have to wait until probably Wednesday to really push that all down. So it's going to take a while. And then there's Humberto right there. All right, so temperatures obviously will start cooling off. I think tomorrow will probably be the warmest day, and then Sunday be cooler at the coast, and I think warmer inland. And then Monday we'll start seeing, as we get into next week, we'll start seeing the temperatures drop a little more. as that cooler air slowly works in from the north and east. 'Cause that seems to be what we have all the time. Northeast flow at this point. We'll look at a few more models. The NAM 3. I don't have enough of the NAM 3 in here, but we will go ahead and we'll see what the older 18Z run has for us. Obviously, that didn't materialize. And tomorrow we're dry, and then most of Saturday we should be dry. It'll be later. The question is, does it linger into Sunday, the rain, or does it get out of here? And right now, you have the NAM and you have the GFS. Obviously, this is in the longer range models. The European has it occurring overnight and then getting out, while the GFS has it lingering around a little bit later, which again could impact the Ryder Cup. It happens overnight, it won't, but if it falls during the day, it will. So that is the question now. We could total accumulate precip, but probably still won't wind up being all that much. The GFS is a little bit heavier. It's saying maybe a half an inch. That would be funny if we get more rain from the overnight Saturday night Sunday system. But the European, which I tend to agree with more, doesn't really give us all that much. The heavier stuff's off to the south. So I'm thinking it's going to be more like that. So skies, our gym, we'll take a look at that. We got to look at a bunch of sky models here because there's disagreement there too as well. Disagreement with everything. So tomorrow, actually by the afternoon, it looks like we get rid of most of the clouds late in the afternoon. And then Saturday, we're going to have clouds increasing. Starting off with some high clouds. They're going to lower and thicken as the day goes on. And Sunday, we're dealing with plenty of clouds again. And then next week, we're going to have to play with that cloud boundary and the stalled front some more. So it takes forever to get out of this because the highs aren't building down from the northwest. They're building down from the northeast, which is backwards. Again, because we don't have that jet stream to really organize things. The jet stream think of the jet stream like the conductor in an orchestra. You don't have a conductor. It's just a mess. So this is the cloud model again, showing plenty. I mean, it's going to be a while till we clear this all out. Because we may have to wait until Thursday to clear it all out. And then we finally start clearing it out. Maybe. So, anyway. And I don't know when I get to Fire Island. That would be funny if the next nice time to go to Fire Island will be next weekend when they do that damn construction again. It's getting annoying at this point. Yeah, I'll just take a $100 Uber to Sayville already. Send the bill to the Long Island Railroad. Anyway. Or somehow force the Montauk train to stop in Hicksville. How, I don't know. But, anyway. With that said, showing you all this stuff, so we're going to look at a few more models here of clouds. Because, like I said, the models are kind of all over the place with that. Let's go to tomorrow. So you see tomorrow, this one's showing plenty of clouds. I'm not going to clear out at all. Maybe by 4 o'clock. The day's almost over already. Saturday, obviously, we're pretty socked in. Sunday. It tries to push it to the south on Sunday, so it'll be interesting. This is the icon. So it tries to push it to the south. Maybe we clear out on Sunday, maybe. Maybe. That's one model. And then go to the windy.com, which is the other one. And, Wendy's a little more optimistic with tomorrow being clear. Especially, but that's by later in the day. And then Saturday, we're clouding up already. You can see, and see how quick that precip moves in on us on Saturday. Already starts moving in at 7 p.m. a little bit. But then it kind of goes off to the south. And then we try to clear it out on Sunday, actually. So we'll see what happens here. Try to push that to the south. We'll see. Maybe we can push it off to the south. And then just get it next week, just a peek at next week there. I'm going to be stuck in it for a while. There's the boundary with the tropical system right there. So you can see what we're dealing with. Look at that. It doesn't even clear us out at all. It's just kind of stuck. Maybe we can push it a little more to the south of Long Island that day. Maybe Thursday. It's pathetic. It really is. It really is. This just god awful weather that we had. There's no jet stream. There's no organization. I keep ranting about this because it's very serious and nobody realizes just how screwed up we are right now with the weather. This is an emergency. But don't tell that to the White House, the fat bastard, and probably half the people in this country who seem to be dumber dumber than dumb. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll go to wind here, wind gusts. So we're gonna just take a look at some of these storms here, just for fun. This is gonna be the last weather video until Sunday. So you'll see here that there's the first storm going in. Not terribly in front, but look at Humberto. I mean, you got 2 storms. This is going to really stir up the surf. You got 2 storms here. Look at Humberto. See that white, you know you're dealing with. I'm looking at wind gusts here. But you can see we're going to be dealing with some possibly windy conditions from this too. As we get into next week, you can see that. And that might cause some rough surf again. These 2 systems here. So we're going to have to watch for next week, obviously. And we'll go ahead and we'll look at just, if I could just go to regular wind speed just to show you the shape of things. Here's Humberto, but again, I go by wind gusts. It's more accurate. Look at how strong it is. Wow, this thing could be a Category 5. That's insane right there. Imagine if that was to take a turn and hit us directly. That would be a devastating thing. Well, right now that does not look like what's going to happen, thank God, but you just got to be on guard. That's all. That's insane right there. That's insane, but it will stir up the waves. So just keep in mind that. Go to the waves. I'll look at that, and then we're gonna this up. You'll see that we are going to be seeing some pretty big waves as we get into the 9-footers. Yep, kind of dies down. But that's when we're going to start seeing some rough seas. So probably something in the middle of next week with these 2 storms. It's going to be pretty insane. If you're in the center of Humberto, look at that. Maybe 50-foot waves. Here, this is going to be bad, and there's going to be a lot of coastal flooding here. But hey, this is what happens when you don't have a jet stream. All right, so we may see a rare Fujiwhara thing. My concern is that I don't think it's going to happen, but this low could actually act to push Humberto back toward the coast. I don't know. We have to watch this. I mean, we're not out of the woods. Things can change, so please keep a watch on Humberto. But anyway, I think that's all for now. Have a great night. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back Sunday night and talk about our craziness in the tropics, because I think it's going to get pretty crazy next week.